Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Clocks on the Stove. We don't really have a strict agenda for today's podcast. We are kind of just going to have some fun and go with the flow of sports right now because it's that weird time of the year with sports. Your usual host, myself, Grayson Fisher, with me, my partner in crime, Zachary Douglas Watts. Zach, first thing I was thinking of is DeAndre Hopkins. The Cardinals get D-Hop 2 years ago, I think. He had 2 or 3 years left on his contract. And it felt kind of, to me at least, when the Cardinals got D-Hop, it was like, that's all we needed. That's what we were missing. They got him and they got JJ pretty recently around the same time. And it was like, that's what we needed. We're good. And then nothing ever came of it. I mean, D-Hop had that insane touchdown snag last season in the back of the end zone. But basically, even though they got rid of D-Hop, it was more of D-Hop stepping away. He didn't show up to OTAs. He was like, fuck this. I don't want to be a part of this team. There's coaching changes. And I did see somewhere on Twitter that he stated he wants to go somewhere that's had an offensive coordinator be there for at least like 4 years or something. Because he's had like 3 different OCs in 4 years or 4 and 3, something crazy. So he wants stability and he wants to go to a team that has a shot at winning a ring. But yeah, the coaching change is definitely one thing. You got to wonder how much of it Kyler Murray affected that decision as well. You don't always hear the best things about Kyler locker room wise and leadership and even workability wise. But yeah, I mean, I wonder where D-Hop's going to go. I don't blame him for wanting to go to a team that's already kind of like a D-Hop away because he's old. He's near the end of his career. I think he's one of the best receivers ever. And you kind of want to get that title run at the very end. That's all I really got to say. I'll let you have your little bit.
Yeah, I'll start off by saying, he did miss almost a full year for, was it PEDs or was he? I think it was PEDs.
I think it was PEDs. It was 6 months, right?
Yeah, 6 months, missed a significant time, came back, still proved that he was at the top of his game. But, I don't necessarily blame him. Because especially within the Cardinals organization, he mentioned in his interview, there was just a lot of mismanagement from the front office. He just felt like they weren't on the same page. And, when you're at this late in your career, like when you're a young guy, when you're up and coming, it's okay to like work through or like trust the process and understand that things will work themselves out. But at this point in his career, like you said, you don't have the time to really figure it out. You're trying to win. And, I don't particularly agree with the way it was handled, like not showing up to OTAs just to get released. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. And at the same time, it was kind of the only way, the more I look at it, because if anything, teams know that your contract is up anyway. So they're not going to trade for you right away because they're like, why trade for him and risk giving up assets when we can just wait a year longer and pick him up then? But for his sake, like you don't want to sit out a year. Like you don't want that time off. You want to continue to perform, continue to build your resume and add to your legacy. So I have nothing against him in that regard. I do think he is still at a point in his career where he can immediately impact a team. What just his level of play, he's always probably going to garner like number 1 corner attention. He's always going to have defensive game plans circled around him.
How old is he? He's got to be a little bit older. He's been around for a minute.
I want to say like
30, I want to say 30 to 32. I'm
going to say 31.
30. Oh, he's got what? Probably
2-3 solid years. 2 to 3 like
2 to 3 great years, but he could play 5 to 6 if he really wanted.
Yeah, just because like the hands don't go away.
Yeah, exactly. And they can pick him up just to be like a third down receiver, like every other drive or something like that.
Yeah, let's also consider some possible landing spots for D-Hop because I was trying to think about it in my head. Obviously, as a Patriots fan, I'm going to say, "Oh my God, Belichick."
I have been seeing that a little on Twitter, though. I haven't seen that,
dude. As a Patriots fan, it's gotten to the point where like I just have to completely ignore it because anyone that hits the free market, they're like, "Oh, Belichick,
yeah." They're all like plotting.
It's literally the meme of Bill at the combine when he's got the bag of pretzels and he's like has the binoculars. He's like eating pretzels while like zooming in like way far away. Like that's literally how I envision him with like any prospect. But at the same time, he's probably just sitting down and just being like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good name. I ain't paying him shit though." You're like, what you want? You want barely $2 million or like $350? That's the best I can do. And then
you don't even have a quarterback because isn't Mac Jones dipping?
Nah, he's staying for now, at least. I mean, the team loves and trusts Mac. It's the fan base that's so quick to dish him to the side. But
It's
here's
also Mac though. Mac hates Patricia
we don't have Patricia anymore though.
or whoever the OC is. Mac doesn't fuck with him.
He fucks with him now. Bill O'Brien is a dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bill
But
O'Brien.
last year he didn't though. They were fighting.
Oh yeah, no. No one liked Matt Patricia. That's why. But what Patriots fans need to understand is, hey, our quarterback play is going to take a little decline when you move on from fucking Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's just
you don't get back-to-back Brady's. That's not how that works.
Yeah. It's like when you break up with your model girlfriend, you're not finding another model girlfriend. You gotta give us some fat girls once in a while.
Yeah. You gotta attack the arsenal before you can get back to your main weapon.
Yeah, because guess what? You ain't been talking to no women since you've been dating. You've been letting your game slip, as they say. And I can guarantee you, Bill Belichick's quarterback game had definitely fallen down.
Yeah, Bill hasn't flirted with a quarterback in a long time. His flirting strategies may not be up to par for today's dating standards.
Yeah, we call that a sexual harassment in the office these days. So that's kind of where Bill's sitting at right now. He's kind of back in like the 80s, slap her ass and tell her she's a pretty girl. But these days, that'll get you in the ringer.
Yeah, that'll get you got.
Yeah, you done get got sometimes.
Yeah, so Bill's probably on Tinder University trying to learn the new ways of the game. But back to the D-Hop. The other place I see a crazy, and this could just be the people I follow on Instagram, or excuse me, on Twitter. Everyone wants him to go to the Dolphins.
Dude, how much money do they have? Is the salary cap a myth?
Bro, if he did go to the Dolphins, they would quite literally have 3 number 1 receivers. They would have the best offense in football.
Yeah. You see, all sports are secretly like the government. We just always have money. Like we say there's like a debt or a salary cap. That shit don't exist.
No.
No. If the league really wanted to, they could be.
Mike McDaniel's gonna be like, look, I'm selling my soul. He's gonna sign the pen and paper. Oh, what just happened? The Dolphins just got $30 million cap space. Whoa.
Yeah, new rule. If half of your practice squad roster is paraplegic, you get an extra $45 million.
You have at least 3 white offensive starters. We'll give you Diop.
If you sign 1 white cornerback, we'll give you 30 mil.
Yeah, that's what they say.
He's got to start 4 snaps.
Where's that boy from Iowa?
Where he at? Who's he starting for?
Yeah, what are some of the other names? Yeah, he got drafted. He's good. He's very good.
Yeah, but
I think he's the first white corner since like 2007.
There's
a lot of safeties. But I'm saying cornerback.
Yeah, dude, the last white cornerback. Hold on, let me verify this.
There are some actually. Since we're on the topic, let's name some solid white safeties that we've seen. Eric Weddle up there.
I was gonna say Harrison Smith, just off the top of my head.
Wasn't there like a Varner or Werner or something? Am I tripping?
No.
Who was the last white cornerback though?
Jason Sehorn, and he retired in 2003.
Damn, we went 20 years without a white cornerback.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Julian Edelman even got some cornerback time for the Patriots when he first started out. This man got drafted as a quarterback out of Kent State, and Bill Belichick was like, "How do you feel about cornerback?" And he's like, "Coach, you know I'm a quarterback, right? I got drafted." He's like, "Well, shit, I already wrote you down on the depth chart. You're gonna have to play at least 60 snaps so I can earn like $4 million off you." And he was like, "What about receiver?"
All right, let's go through this.
We're doing
Eric Weddle. Who would you say?
I said Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith. The hardest hitting safety in the league.
Dude, who? Oh, Justin Heath. That's what I was thinking.
Yes. Willie Wood, he played, he was an 8-time Pro Bowler, 2 Super Bowl titles, plus 3 NFL championships. He played for the Knights from 1964 to 1970, played for the Vikings.
Dude, I look up best white safeties in the NFL, and the first one that came up, Ed Reed.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I have on mine, too. There's no, best white safeties.
Damn. It really gonna be like that.
There's gotta be some. I feel like there's a big Lynch.
Oh, James Lynch.
James Lynch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Damn.
dog. He's a dog.
He is a dog. I'm trying to think of other.
Rodney Harrison's like a super light skin.
Yeah. Rodney. I've never met a white guy named Rodney.
Yeah, I've never met a white guy named. There's Cliff Harris.
That's a white guy.
In the 1970s for the Cowboys.
Mm. Yeah.
Bro, why do I feel like there's a big one we're missing?
We are missing probably some old dude.
I'm looking through the top 25 all-time safeties. John Lynch, bro. We're so dumb.
Oh,
We
why
just
the
said
fuck did I say
James.
James
Fuck
Lynch?
me. We are so stupid.
Yeah. Troy Apke.
Would you claim Troy Polamalu?
I think he's Polynesian, right? I think
Polynesian, so he's not a black safety.
Yeah, but he sure as hell ain't white.
Yeah, he's a weird middle area, but he's a dog for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's all of them.
Yeah, every time I look it up, Troy Apke just keeps popping up.
Yeah, me too, because he's the most recent one drafted, right?
Yeah, 2014.
So actually, this has absolutely nothing to do with anything we're talking about. It's gonna be a really weird transition, but I was just having this conversation the other night with Matthew Daner, and it's kind of like on the same like game setting. What are the best walk-off knockouts you could ever think of in MMA history? Like we're not talking about like 1, 2, 3s. We're talking about just like one punch, one knee, one kick, just one elbow.
Michael Chandler to Tony Ferguson. I thought I watched his soul get like removed from his body, and Tony just laid there lifeless.
You got obviously Jorge Ben Askren, of course. You could also do Jorge Darren Till.
Yeah.
You have Corey Sandhagen when he knocked out Frankie Edgar. That's my favorite knockout of all time, by the way.
Really?
Like, fake to a knee and then spin around. You look around. You look back and the guy's just asleep.
Yeah, my favorite just has to be Lyoto Machida's front kick.
Yeah, you have Anderson Silva's front kick to no, Lyoto Machida's I think it was Dan Henderson, and then no, Lyoto Machida's was the Randy Couture, and then Anderson Silva was the Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, that's right. Because I just remember Lyoto like doing the double feint, and Couture wasn't like biting on it or anything.
And he stayed in that weird old man wrestling stance.
Yeah, and lands it, hands on the hips, just like stood there, and he's like, "Well, that was easy." Oh, one of my favorite of all time was at your first MMA fight when that
guy got knocked out,
brutally folded like a lawn chair, and I was like, "That is the greatest amateur knockout of all time." I'm trying to think. I don't remember if it was a one shot, but Sean O'Malley during the Ultimate Fighter landed that like
that feint cross.
Yeah,
you have Cody Garbrandt when he fought Asano, and he just hit that
last second
the fake hook. That was nasty.
Yeah.
Obviously Buckley's spin 360 shit. You also have Ngannou over Reem.
You mean the Rock'em Sock'em head removal?
Yeah, the Guching. Yeah, there's another one. There's a couple we're missing.
Speaking of which, while we're thinking of that, let's talk about Francis Ngannou and his kind of deal.
I don't think we've talked about this yet.
Yeah, it's been a month since we've been back. And we'll kind of get into what we've been doing in the time off, but we kind of want to touch on the sports things first. But Francis signs with the PFL. Everyone kind of thought he was like losing this war.
Yeah, before he signed with the PFL, he's been getting shit on. That's like 2 months by everybody.
Hey, everyone gonna hate on you when you ain't making moves, but real G's moving silence like Noki.
Ooh.
Have you seen that guy, that white Jewish rapper? Have you been seeing him on your TikTok feed?
No. Oh, is it? Who is it? Which one?
He's got like the dread. He's got like the big poopy dreads.
Bro, you're talking about BLP
kosher,
bro.
Kosher.
Get on kosher. He's a South Florida boy.
I'm not. He's fired, dude.
He's from South Florida. He's probably like a 30-minute drive from you.
Yeah, real G moving silent like Noki, bruh. Bars. Leg injury like Kevin Ware.
Burst.
Rest in peace, Kevin Ware. He's not really dead, but his playing career is.
Yeah, his career died. He went to Georgia State after that.
Whoosh. Regardless, let's get back on this Francis Ngannou thing. So Contract was massive. I'm pretty sure you know more about the details, so I'll
I
let you
think
touch.
I don't know to a T, but I think it's guaranteed 7 figures a fight. His opponent is guaranteed $1 million a fight. He gets to open up PFL Africa, and he's a board director or member on the actual PFL.
Yeah. Um. Here's my thing.
Genius, by the way, also because if everyone forgot, Jake Paul has stake in PFL now. You don't think Jake Paul can out promote Dana? Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, he can.
mm,
Do I think it'll have the impact of the UFC? Probably not. But Jake Paul can out promote Dana. He's the biggest name in social media, and he is going to fucking shove Ngannou in everyone's mouth, and it's gonna work. I'm telling
yeah.
you right now, it's gonna work. They're gonna feed him tin can after tin can for highlight after highlight after highlight, and they're gonna throw him on regular ESPN, and they're gonna fucking start competing, bro. I'm telling you right now. I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now.
Yeah. I was also. This actually leads into my other point I was going to say. That's a great deal that worked out for Ngannou's sake. However, he cannot lose.
Yeah,
He
no.
might as yeah, he has to be
Yeah, bro,
immortalized as
but
like
dude,
a
who the
god.
fuck? If no one in the UFC could beat him, who the fuck in PFL is going to beat him? And the heavyweight division in the PFL is their worst division.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And see, it's it's a tale of two stories because on one end, yes, you signed Ngannou, but number two, you now completely annihilated the possibility of any heavyweights ever signing to your organization because they're
I
not.
disagree. I think you intrigue them because now they're getting a guaranteed $1 million to fight Ngannou,
Yeah,
guaranteed. So
this
you're
is
going to get
true.
guys wanting to come fight Ngannou,
To come
and
die.
yeah, exactly. Zach, you wouldn't take $1 million. How much do you weigh? Fucking 185. You wouldn't take $1 million to fight Israel Adesanya? Yes, you fucking would.
Of course, I would.
Yes, you would. Exactly. And on top of that, if you're a fighter, you're not Zach Watts, no offense. You're getting a fuck ton of promo and build to fighting Ngannou.
Yeah, Ngannou never stepped in the cage with the watch show. Let me tell you
Yeah.
that.
Hey, Ngannou ain't calling out Ken Watts. That's a fact.
Ken Watts at 70 years old will hit the first ever flying Oompa Blata. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but I think it worked out for Ngannou's favor. I think Jake Paul was definitely a big part of it.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome. They're also letting him fight boxing freely too, which is insane. And that definitely was a big reason Dana didn't want to keep him because everyone, and this is what people need to remember, or people need to be educated about because they don't know. Yes, Connor fought boxing against Floyd, and the UFC was cool with it. But the UFC had stake in it. It was Connor didn't independently go fight Floyd. He fought representing the UFC. That's why
yeah,
Dana was at everything. They still had their hands on Connor.
yeah.
They won't let now. Do I think if Ngannou brought that route to do that as well, they would have done it? Yes, but Ngannou wants his money. And yes, Connor made a lot of money too, but they suck off Connor way more than they suck off Ngannou. They don't even give a fuck about Ngannou, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do think the PFL was a great fucking move for Ngannou. The only other place I knew he wasn't gonna go bare knuckle. The only other place I would like to see them is maybe ONE FC because there's some athletic ass big Asian heavyweights. So that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. My only fear if he would have signed to one is Fedor would have came out of retirement one more time. He would have been like, he's like, all right,
No, he
one
would have
more
like
million dollars.
actually died though. Like he would have
Yeah,
committed murder in the cage.
yeah, yeah. That was my only fear. What's his name? Who's the champ right now? ONE FC for heavyweight.
It's the Indian dude, right?
No, who just beat Fedor?
No, brother, that's Bellator.
Oh,
That's Ryan Bader. The heavyweight champ for ONE FC is actually really good. He's just Indian. He's from India. He's the first ever Indian world champion.
yeah. Damn.
Yeah, but speaking on that, I like where we're going with this new signings and stuff. How about Bellator, speaking on it, adding a flyweight division? And
Yes.
how about you and I at the day before they announced the title fight, we were like, they did this to make Horiguchi a world champion again. Because he can't win at 35, and they're like, fuck it, let's bring it at 25. And we literally said this on the phone. And then the next day they're like introducing the 125 world championship. Horiguchi versus some other Asian guy. And we were like, we fucking called it.
Well, it's the Ryzen crossover. So what they're gonna do is
but that's what they did originally to get Horiguchi. They had Horiguchi fight Darren Crawford, who was the 135 champ in a crossover fight. Then he was like, fuck that, I'm getting paid way better in Bellator, and stayed in Bellator.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, genius move, because after you see what the UFC's been doing, you're kind of always chasing tail with the UFC just based off marketing wise and how much of a like implementation they have within the United States. And then you have PFL going out and make this move for Ngannou. So you're like, we have to raise our stake in our brand. Like we have to do something that really like takes us over the edge. So very smart on their part by, you have guys that can make the weight and you have quality superstars in it. We did talk about some of the issues being the depth within the flyweight class, just because like flyweight anywhere, just they're not gonna have a ton of 125ers. But then again, if you have a solidified champion that's going to draw names, guys are going to want to chase the belt. They're going to think it's worth holding. A job's a job. You're going to, if you're a championship holder, you're going to go and try to fight for a belt at any weight class. And the fact that Horiguchi was like 6th, 7th rank at 135 and can fight at a more natural weight for, I don't know, I wouldn't say more natural, but
he has a past. He's done it in the past a lot.
Yeah,
he's a vet.
He's a vet in the weight class, and not only that, I think his skill set works better there. He's not going to get out muscled by any of the guys. I don't think his like speed's going to take a huge hit. Obviously, like with putting on a little more pounds, you're going to.
I think it'll help his chin too, because Sergio Pettis knocked him the fuck out at 35, and those guys, I don't think hit as hard.
Yeah, but that's another thing. I feel like the biggest flack the 125-pound class catches, that's like, oh, there's no flashy knockouts, and I'm like, yeah, but have you ever seen takedowns and submission attempts nearly as quick as those?
Or just the pace they fight at for 25 minutes. It's a sprint.
Yeah. Just look at Brandon Figueiredo and Moreno. Like that every time they just go to like it's 25 minutes of letting a pit bull loose in a dog park. Yeah. It's just rapid pace. And that I don't understand how you wouldn't enjoy watching that, but people get used to it.
The other thing about it, Zach, is there is not a PFL 125. The UFC doesn't give a fuck about their 125. And I don't know if there is a 1FC 125 because their flyweight is technically 135 pounds because all their weight classes are plus 10. So this might open up a door for them, getting exposure and getting guys, big name guys. The other thing is I want to talk back on the actual Horiguchi thing they did. He is without fact checking and just off the top of my head, he is the biggest Asian MMA fighter in the world right now from Asia. So that's drawing them big. And Ryzen's one of the biggest. I mean, it's not 1FC, but it's not as big as 1FC, but it's the Bellator 2 1FC in Asia. So they're like, fuck it. We're not going to take over the American market. The UFC owns it. But there's a lot more in this world than just the fucking America. So they're attacking the Asian market, which I think is genius. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how much America likes MMA, martial arts is an Asian art. It came from Asia. So those are where the loyalty and the guys that are okay with watching a grappling match. The guys are okay with watching a boxing match because they understand and appreciate it all. So I think it's a really smart move by Bellator to use Horiguchi. It's a really smart move to tie Ryzen into it as well. And you already know the fight posters are about to be insane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, we talked enough shit about the marketing that the UFC does compared to the rest, but I guess when Americans just don't give a fuck, they're like, fighters are fighters. Like, we'll watch it regardless. One thing I love about 1FC, though, since on the topic of it, is the fact that it's not just MMA. It's everything. Like we know they have kickboxing, they do Muay Thai, they do combat jiu-jitsu matches.
They do regular jiu-jitsu matches.
Yeah, regular jiu-jitsu. They have everything. Now, I also think they should. I don't think they should have more, but I was kind of curious as what they could add more. Like what
I would add wrestling 1,000,000,000%.
You think that'd be?
But you add wrestling. It is the number one sport in the Olympics of the most countries involved because you don't need a fucking penny to wrestle. To play baseball, you need a bat, you need a glove. Like those are necessities. To wrestle, you need nothing. You need shoes. And they all wear, like in the poor countries, they just fucking share each other's shoes. So it's the most dominant form of martial arts. I don't know if you've been seeing the fucking post on social media of how many champions from wrestling.
It's like 28.
It's like 29, and then the next is jiu-jitsu at like 14. You know? So there's no way that it's not going to have a lot of attention. And also, there is not really a route for wrestling other than UFC and WWE. And it sucks seeing guys who are so amazing at wrestling have to quit, like Henry Cejudo or like Gable Stevenson with WWE, when they're still so good at their sport. You make it to 1FC, you make wrestling professional, and now these guys can do it for their lives. Oh, and guess what? Now they have money to actually train with better guys and do better things, and you're gonna see the sport of wrestling get better if UFC adapts to it.
Yeah, like the video I was watching recently when Sean O'Malley was representing the UFC, but I forget what the event was where he was just grappling.
It was just some grappling event, probably.
Yeah, but like I think because like Americans aren't as accustomed to seeing it because they're not going to go out and watch a ONE FC fight, or like they're not going to take the time to go like view those.
Dude,
matches.
I don't know. Their Colorado card was booming.
Colorado
card was booming.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say they wouldn't, but it's just not so easily like accessible or like put in their face as much as the UFC is. But like from another standpoint, like, do you know how many fighters in the UFC would take a jiu-jitsu match in between their like normal fights? Like you're telling me Gilbert Burns wouldn't be like, all right, yeah, I'm fucked up, probably can't fight for a while. I'll do a jiu-jitsu match on a card somewhere. Like, oh, Sean's like, oh, y'all doubt my jiu-jitsu match. All right, I'll go grapple some guy out.
You could literally do Khamzat versus Bo Nickel in a freestyle wrestling match.
Tell me that wouldn't sell.
Yeah.
Tell me that wouldn't sell.
Like what? Like make that the head prelim.
Yeah. You could do Izzy Pereira trilogy Muay Thai fight. Make it a Muay Thai fight. Just say, fuck it. Fuck takedowns. Just go to war.
It would open the door, but it's not Dana's idea, so Dana won't do it.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do our own little like fantasy matchmaking. We're gonna do each like category of fighting. So let's start because it's on the top of my head. Who would you match make for a karate fight in the UFC? Obviously, I'm picking Wonder Boy. He's my first.
I would run it back with Wonder Boy and Holland.
Holy shit! You make that
like an actual karate
match,
a combat karate fight.
That would be so you have that you don't start the card with that. You probably start the main card with that, but like prelim headliner, you do a jiu-jitsu match between like who's the guy that just fought Lopez that fought Evlov. You take him and another. I would say the only thing if you were going to do jiu-jitsu in the UFC, take away like the heel. I don't want to say take away the heel hooks because like that's like taking away like an aspect of the game, but at the same time, like it's the most injury risk part.
Well, wait, you could do that guy versus Ryan Hall, I think, because Ryan Hall's at 155 and 145. I think they're at the same weight class. Lopez versus Ryan Hall.
I mean, but at the same time, like jiu-jitsu is the only thing where you can do it anyway. Like when they have, what's the division called where it's just like anyone can go in it no matter weight.
Open. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just, you could have guys that like 135 calling out 55ers. He's like, I'll take you on a jiu-jitsu match. Like,
yeah, you can do that. That's what's awesome. And the thing about the wrestling too is like, I love jiu-jitsu and I can watch high-level jiu-jitsu. I've been watching it since I was fucking 6 years old. But a person that doesn't know any MMA, watching a high-level jiu-jitsu and watching high-level wrestling, the wrestling is way more fun to watch. It's way faster paced. It's way more physical. It's way more fun to watch.
Yeah. Not only that, I think another thing that ONE FC does extremely well is how I'm trying to think of the word like traverse or like their well-rounded knowledge of what they're seeing. They're able to translate what they're seeing into fans that don't know what they're watching very well. Like when they're good
at they're good at attacking their non-target audience.
Yeah, they're very good that like if the average person, I would say not average fan, but the average person were to sit down and turn it on, if they were to sit there and be like, oh, well, why is that guy doing that? The announcer can explain in real time, like, well, he's going for this position because he's trying to pass guard or he's trying to get to a more down position so he can start attacking the body or the head. Like they do a better job. I know the UFC has started to take a step up with that and they're like breakdown vids on their YouTube channel, but like they don't push it as much as they should. There are many other fighters that have their own YouTube channels now that like break down. Like Chael Sonnen will go down and do film review. I love Chael. I love Chael Sonnen as like a marketer and a fighter, but his post career, if he was like better at YouTube or like gave enough shit, he would be so much better than like half the people I see.
He just half-asses the fuck out of it.
Yeah, and he's so like he's just like downright funny. Like to begin with, like putting him on the Ultimate Fighter was probably the greatest move they ever made. Selling wise, like the "Don't Let Me Get Close" thing is probably said by so many people like around the world just because it's the funniest thing ever. But like,
is it really true? You saw the Nogueira brothers try to feed a carrot to a bus? No, that actually happened. Like that actually happened. One of them was petting the back, thinking it was like the butt by the tail, and then the other one had a carrot and tried to feed it to the front of the bus. That actually happened. Like Bro, he's just such a good personality. How Bellator got him and not the UFC is crazy to me. You think UFC's gotta be pissed about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you definitely know Dana was like just sitting on it because he was like, oh, like he has ties to us, like he's gonna bring it back. Chill, Uncle Chill,
Bro,
Uncle Chill knows where the money
honestly,
go.
you could state that the crew for Bellator is pretty damn close to being as good as the crew for UFC.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you take out Joe, Joe's the GOAT. He's the number one.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Chael, it's Robin Black, it's the Showtime boxing guy. I don't remember his name. It's Josh Thompson, who was a world champion in Strikeforce and was a fucking beast in the UFC, and it's Big John McCarthy, who's the best ref of all time.
Yeah.
It's a pretty solid fucking crew, dude.
Yeah. I love John McCarthy. There's just sometimes listening to him speak, I'm just like, John, what the fuck are you
No,
doing?
but the thing I like about John is he gives the point of view perspective, not from a fighter or a coach or a fan. He gives it from the ref. The
Yeah.
ref seeing this. The judge, I scored the fight like this because if I'm the judge, I'm looking at this criteria. Like he knows the actual game of the sport.
Yeah. That's thank God you brought this up because I remembered I was watching this in an XFL game the other day and I was wondering why they didn't implement it in other sports. You look at the NFL, you look at the NBA, you look at any other of the four major sports. Anytime there's like a replay or a stop in action or we have a break, they will bring in a rules official to break things down from an official standpoint to say, well, this is how it should be done. So that way we know if they don't make that call, it's a mess up. There is
the UFC does that a little bit with Dean Thomas, but it's not. But he's just a coach.
Yeah, he's a coach.
He's an actual ref.
Ref, exactly. Like you don't have guys that are literally paid to sit on a board of like board of officials or like board of judging. It's literally just whatever athletic commission is in the area they sign the fight. That's what they go based off of. But you don't have a universal commission for the UFC, which I think personally is bullshit. Like you've been around long enough.
I don't understand how they're not able to get their own. By the way, I feel like if they sprinkled a little give a shit, they could do it.
Yeah,
we need to talk to our James Lynch, who sorry we thought you were John Lynch. He would know the answers to that. We should reach out to him and ask him. I mean, this dude is. It could have been worse. Like, I mean, if someone was like, "Oh, you're Grayson Allen," I wouldn't be like, "What the fuck?" I'd be like, "All right, cool,
yeah,
straight."
Yeah. Except when I kick dudes in the nuts, they take a point away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless. So now that I'm like curious about it, it's gonna bother me because like on one side of it, let's say it's a money thing. You have enough money. You have enough money. And
I want to see exactly why, because this is gonna bother me.
Yeah, because it feels like there's no logical explanation why they don't have a commission. It's your own sport. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, I wonder why.
Like you run the UFC, you make the rules, and other commissions have to abide by your rules. Now, I get there are some rules based on commissions with like the Islam thing with like IVs and like there's certain health protocols that commissions follow, but I'm pretty sure you can make a bendable or like something that's allowed to like what's the word I'm looking for?
Okay, so this is what I found on Reddit. I don't know how true this is, but it's the number one comment from 11 years ago.
11 years ago. So this is how far.
Yeah, this is how
far we just dropped this idea, by the way.
Shout out Facking Canuck for this. Most major sports leagues consist of a collection of teams unified under a central bureaucracy. How do you say that word?
I don't know off the top of my head right now.
Bureaucracy. You know what word I'm fucking talking about?
Bureaucracy?
What?
Bureaucracy?
You know what word I'm talking about, though, right? God, I feel so dumb right now.
It's got to be bureaucracy, right? How do you spell it?
Bureaucracy.
Well, Bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy. How do you say it though?
Yeah, bureaucracy.
Okay.
Yeah, bureaucracy.
Most major
fighters not spelling beers. Let me tell you.
Most major sports leagues consist of a collection of teams unified under a central bureaucracy. This bureaucracy is supposed to be neutral in its dealings with teams and is responsible for fielding umpires and refs. The UFC doesn't fit this model. The UFC is a promotions company which keeps athletes under contract and pays them to perform. They are not neutral. The UFC will often have an interest in who wins a fight. For that reason, it would be a conflict of interest for the UFC to appoint a judge for the fight. Now, as to why the state athletic commissions have such problems with finding competent MMA judges, there are two main reasons. Most of the judges are drawn from boxing, and I don't think this is correct. This is not correct.
All right, so now give you as the fighter standpoint of why this is wrong. We're just gonna get a lawyer and we're gonna create our own fighting thing, and then we're just gonna work all these little kinks out.
I don't know the reason why, but stating that the UFC won't do it because they want to say in what happens isn't why. I disagree with that. Now, do I think the UFC does want certain guys to win? Absolutely. We talk about it on this podcast all the time. But I don't think that's a reason why they don't do it, because they would rather have their own judges and shit, because then it's even easier for them to control it.
Yeah. Because the way around it that I could see is like view it from like an NFL standpoint. The NFL is equal to the UFC, but rather than having teams, right? Like you have your NL and AL, you have camps for teams. Like you don't sign fighters.
It's still an individualistic sport. You have guys like Alon, who's the only big name guy out of my gym. Like you can't represent a whole Tyson. Like you can't do that. You could probably do it by state organization though, like Florida, Tennessee, Georgia. Like you could probably represent by state. You can't do it by camps. It's impossible because you have 500 guys out of American Top Team, and then you have one out of fucking Bryce Mitchell and Arkansas.
Okay, maybe not the camp per se, but what if you had not a camp, but like a team entity? So like, let's say each guy fights for their own camp.
You do American and non-American. That would work 100%.
Well, what I'm saying is like this. Let's say we broke it down. There are 32 teams in like our fight league, right? Or fuck it, let's even break it down shorter. Let's say it's 10 teams, right? You do like however many fighters you have signed to your roster or whatever, they fight out of their own individual camps, but then you have a draft to see who you want to select. So like this guy this guy's still representing his camp and stuff, but he's technically under our like team. So like we're only like the over encompassing thing. So when teams play teams, they each appoint a judge, right? Or like for like an example, the NFL may have like favorites for their games because like the guy said one of the big issues was like since they have like a favoritism with fighters, they can't appoint judges. Well, if you don't have favorites among fighters, you can only have a favorite team. Like it wouldn't really matter because like
okay, so if we dumbed it down a little, we could do something like that, but you wouldn't even need the team organization. What you could do is you could be like, all right, let's say there's a UFC Tampa, and there's 10 fights, or let's say there's 12. There's usually 12 fights on a card, 12 to 14. 12 fights, there's 24 fighters. You go, here's a pool of judges and here's a pool of refs that are available to ref and judge this card. You guys handpick, and whichever 3 of the judges and 4 or 5 of the refs get the highest percentage, those will be the ones we send. I think you could do something like that.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, look, even though I really didn't want this judge, I preferred that judge over the other ones. And at the same time, when we all voted on it as a community, everyone picked this person. So it's not that unfair.
Yeah. That would also make sense because then you go because then technically the UFC could have their own commission because it's like, all right, we're not
rigging shit.
Yeah, we're not rigging shit. We are literally giving you a pool to select from, and y'all are the ultimate.
It's a democracy.
It's a democracy.
That's a democratic voting.
Yeah. And yeah, they may, and then they'll probably have to do like, oh, well, what if none of us agree? Then we have a tiebreaker set.
No, and then what you also do is you look at the guys from those camps and you go, this ref has an association with this camp. This judge has association with this camp. These 2 people cannot be on this card. Boom. And then you get rid of bias as well.
Yeah. Because what I like that baseball does is each crew per se of like 5 umpires, they all rotate positions. It's like one guy that's the crew chief behind home plate that's doing most of the calls behind the home plate is probably going to be the third base umpire next game, or the right field umpire in the playoffs in the other game. They all rotate. They each
the crew stays with each other throughout the whole season. Oh, yes. That's dope. I didn't know that.
But it's now obviously like there's times and places where like, all right, we're going to keep a guy here because like a ref needs or an umpire needs time off. So like
somebody's sick, something happened. Like, But for the most part, that crew stays together the whole season.
Yes. So I don't get why you couldn't train refs and judges, like obviously it would take a long time because
Bro, you wouldn't need to train them. You should get retired fighters. There's a fucking infinite amount of them that would do the job.
yeah. And they just be like, hey, guess what? This night you're like judge 2. Next night you'll be judge 1. Then you go to reffing. Then that, and then do that throughout the whole night. Just literally do that throughout the whole night. Hey, start of the fight. Guess what? You're going to be doing the first fight. You're going to come here. You're going to do 3 fights of judging. Guess what? You're back out reffing. Like
you could realistically do that. Yes.
Yeah, and you're saving yourself a lot of time between bringing in 80
and there's no bullshit judging if they're all former fighters. They all understand it. Like it's not like that judge doesn't understand jiu-jitsu. No, they do. They have 7 submission wins. Like
that it just doesn't make sense why they couldn't do it. Because like the other day when they had that, not the other day, but it was a little while ago when they had someone from the Nevada Commission go into I think it was Chris Curtis's camp, whatever it is. I forget the name of his camp, but they go up to him and they have him explain to the fighters what the rules and criteria are for judging fights. And fighters literally walked out because they were so mad because it was so vague.
I remember this. I remember this like a little bit ago.
Yeah, and they were like, this is bullshit. They're like, you don't even know your own rules. They're like, you just go based off what you think. They're like, there's no cut and dry, like, this is how you judge fight. It's some guys think this way and some guys think the other way, and you just say it how it is.
Dude, like, but the thing is too is if you're the UFC and let's say you don't want to do all this, just have open scoring.
Why not?
It's the same thing basically. You have to adjust to what the judges and refs think.
Yeah. Because if it's going to be that vague and you really are that unsure.
Yeah, if you're like, look, listen, we don't want to get our own commission. We don't want to do all this shit, but we'll give you open scoring. A lot of people will stop bitching.
Yeah, because then they'd be like, oh, shit, I thought I won that round, but obviously not. Obviously I didn't, so now I got to do something else. And then you can go bitch after the fact, but hey, you can't say you didn't know going into that third round that it was either tied or you were down a round or you were even up a round. Because we know, everyone knows. Like I know boxing, theirs isn't open scoring, but they still like show like what they have as like points per round. So like it's
I think some boxing might be open scoring. I don't know really, to be honest.
Yeah, but see, boxing's a lot easier to not have open scoring though because it's very cut and dry. Hey, did you get punched
it's one art. It's one art of hundreds of them.
Yeah. Did you get punched in the face? Yes. All right. You're probably losing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't understand per se, but like I said, sports imitates life. If it's not a big enough problem, they're not going to feel a need to fix it. So it's going to have
especially if it's not a money problem. That's the only problems they want to fix is money.
Yeah. Really, the only people that can really change this are the champs. But when you have champs like
but honestly, they can't because Ngannou tried and they booted his ass.
Yeah. But the way I was going to say it is the only people that can really make like a voice or like voice their concerns to have other people care about it are the champions. But at the same time, like,
but it's risky because Tyron Woodley talks about it. If you're a champion and you lose and you spent your whole championship shit talking Dana and fighting the organization, they fuck you once you lose the belt.
Yeah. But not only that, you think Aljamain Sterling is going to fight to change the scoring rules or how it's?
Oh, no, hell no.
Yeah. No, he's not going to care. He's going to be like, oh, as long as I get to hold my belt.
Yeah.
Like it's shit like that in his mind. I guess Connor would be the last stand, but Connor
doesn't give a single fuck.
Yeah, Connor's like
Connor doesn't get dropped or grappled in that round, he automatically wins to the judges.
Yep.
Automatically.
Yeah. Dude, you literally if you go back, I don't know if y'all have seen it yet, but I completely forgot about this until I watched the Connor documentary. Dude, Dominic Cruz was literally like, yeah, Connor wants to be on the ground right now. He's gassing Khabib. What the fuck? They tried to give a round to Connor just because he didn't take as much damage as all other Khabib fights. Like, wow, Khabib looks really tired right now. Yeah, he just punched his fuking face in for 35 minutes.
Yeah, bro. Connor has him right where he wants him. Connor's actually about to full guard. Like, what?
He's gonna hit him with a nasty arm triangle right here. It's a matter of time, Dominic Cruz.
Did you watch the Conor McGregor documentary?
I watched like 10 minutes of it.
I heard it's actually really good.
It's very well done. I saw it before I went to go record yours, and then once we showed up to our little like backstage area. I was like, yeah, this ain't
Yeah,
going well.
yeah. This is nothing like what I'm about to do.
We pulled back the corner. There's like 20 people in a little 4x4 cubicle.
And
we're
they're like, oh yeah, there's another camp coming.
yeah, which like never showed.
Yeah,
Like
like
half the camp. I guarantee you that
we had
was
the
like
best spot. We took the best spot.
yeah,
That like open area. We took the best spot.
yeah. But speaking of that, we'll kind of wrap up with this last part. So over the last month, we haven't really been able to get an episode out, and the reason for that is Grayson right here was in the middle of a fight camp. So he was getting ready to fight in the ring, and then obviously I had the privilege of coming on as a media member for Grayson, so I enjoyed that opportunity. So all the events leading up to it, our schedule never really got worked out, but we did get to enjoy a great fight card. Well, I can't say we enjoyed the fight card per se because we didn't get to watch shit.
Yeah, we just sat in the back the whole fucking night.
Yeah, we just sat in the back, and I'll kind of give my points of view at first. So first showing up, we do our weigh-ins. Doctor doesn't show up, just completely skimped out on medicals.
Not there.
Yeah, not there. Was kind of like, oops, I guess. All the fighters are there. There's like a bunch of like street beef guys and just like a bunch of characters, I'll say. It was one of those where like you definitely think you're the main character. Like everyone thought they were the main character for a solid portion of the night. And I was like, tomorrow night, there's going to be a lot of fodder getting removed from this earth because people need to be exposed. Regardless, we do the whole face-offs and shit. Worst/best moment of the night was the fight right after. It was right before you. So you have a face-off right before Grayson's face-off. And the guy walks up. It's two heavyweights. Guy has face tats, fully yadded, whatever. He walks up and he's just like, I'm gonna eat you. And he's just screaming in the guy's face. And the guy you could tell is like not comfortable. Like he's like double flicking him off, like trying to be cool. But I was like, this guy is scared shitless. Spoiler alert, guy doesn't show for his fight the next day. And Grayson
main event.
Yeah, main event dips out. And then Grayson gets moved up to the main event. They even let the guy grab the mic and go out. They gave him the
belt. They gave him the belt.
Yeah, they still gave him the belt, which, by the way, this is another thing that was complete bullshit. Half the fights didn't even have belts. They had like chains.
Chains. They had the flex chain.
Yeah, you had the flex chain. Wow.
Yeah, fuck that. If I fight for the strap, I want a strap.
Yeah, you better bring me a belt.
Yeah, I want to wear it.
Yeah. Well, you can wear a necklace.
Yeah, but I'm not pulling up to an after party or like showing my family like, look what I just won. Like, it looks like I went to the fucking corner store and bought a necklace.
Yeah, when you win those like sixth grade like youth baseball tournaments and they hit all those little like plastic medals. And
yeah, it's stupid. But Mo won a belt and I think he's the only person that actually got a belt. No, I think Yat did too.
There were two belts.
Yeah, it was the 85 for Yat and it was Mo's kickboxing fight.
Yeah, but Yat Daddy's belt wasn't a championship belt. It was for like the baddest. It was the baddest motherfucker belt.
It was the RMF belt.
Oh, the realest motherfucker belt.
Realest motherfucker belt.
Yeah. Sorry. No copyright intended. UFC. Got guys out here chasing silver for money's sake.
Yeah,
but
not even money's sake because they fought for free.
Yeah, you know what would have been cooler? I could think of a million other things that would have been cooler than giving them a chain. Why not give them like fake brass knuckles? Like here.
Bro, why not just do the tradition that's been working since 1998 and just have a belt?
I mean, there were so many things that they like, I could tell that they didn't pay for. They just got like sponsorship for like that, like having the two Harley Davidsons in there only to give away free tickets to the Harley Davidson people just so they could see their bikes.
Yeah.
Like that to me, I was kind of like, okay, well, that makes sense there. The lighting was good, the ring was good. Seats were actually not bad.
Dude, the venue itself wasn't that dope, but what they did with it was good.
Yeah. They did mess up though. They made
the floor chart did not look like the actual floor.
Yeah. At all. No, when I walked out for media to try to get a better angle, I didn't know where the fuck I was. I don't know where. Like there were like a million people just standing around the ring. Like they definitely okay. I bet towards like the first fight, it was like way more organized. But by the time it got to like the 15th, 16th fight, everyone was blacked out, and there was not enough security to like keep shit clean. So like when you were walking out, there were people literally like that could just reach out and touch you.
Yeah, they could have grabbed you.
Yeah, they could have grabbed you, and I would have been like, well, like we're fucked.
It was the worst walkout I've ever had.
I think it was the shortest walkout you ever had too.
Yeah, it was too short. It was too open. I was like in the fans. Like I didn't like any of it. The best walkout ever was the one at the strip club. Honestly, that was my most fun walkout I ever had. But I was secluded. No one could have touched me. There's security around me, and I was set. Like it was gated off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird to me the fact that wasn't a strip club because it makes me realize you can technically put an MMA venue in anywhere.
And kids will fight in it.
Yeah.
I fought in a strip club and a rehab center. In a Jewish community center.
Yeah. And then you fought behind a rehab center.
Yeah. That's funny.
We're starting to notice a trend here. But regardless, it was a great time. Grayson ended up walking away with another win. I think quickest fight of the night.
26 seconds.
Yeah. Hopefully you last longer with a female. That's all we can pray for. So let's pray your skills last longer outside of the octagon per se. But I digress. I think we touched on everything.
Yeah, they were good, man. They were good. I was gonna talk about the Heat Celtics game, but that's gonna be over by the time this is dropped, so it's pointless.
Oh, I will say this. Thank you, because this was my food for thought while I was cooking my lunch this evening. Yeah. Look, I know people will say that coming back from 3-0 is impossible. It's never been done before. And, every team that's ever gotten to it has, even if
is it in Miami or is it in Boston?
It's in Boston. But that's not the reason why I bring it up, even as a Celtics fan. This is what I really wanted to point out. I forget who, let me look this up real quick for everyone.
Is it tonight?
No, I don't think so. I think it's tomorrow.
Damn, I wanted to watch it tonight.
Yeah, so Roger Bannister, 69 years ago, was the first man to ever break the 4-minute mile. Prior to him breaking the 4-minute mile, it was considered nearly impossible. It was considered impossible at the time. They were saying there's no way physical is humanly possible to break the 4-minute mile barrier. We're just not physically able to do so. Since then, even this year, I'm pretty sure there's been high school kids that break the 4-minute mile barrier every track meet. There's like 20,000 people that do it every year now. So with that being said, just because people say it can't be done or it's impossible.
First time for everything.
There's a first time for everything. And to them, you say, just because it hasn't been done, just say it hasn't been done yet. Chase your dreams.
Eating 7.
Kiss my nuts. Yeah. Jimmy Buckets. If anything, if the Celtics lose, I'll kill myself.
I think the Heat can beat the Denver Nuggets. I don't think the Celtics can.
I don't think anyone can beat the Denver Nuggets.
I don't think anyone can, but I think the Heat have a better chance.
Yeah, I think Nikola Jokic, if he would have dedicated his life to be a UFC fighter, he probably would have been a god.
Yeah, he could have been a savage. But yeah, that's Box on the motherfucking stove.
Yeah.